We're opening the roster in a few hours.
Did you speak often with Kaelin?
You're asking me if I have a relationship with my brother, aren't you?
Yes. I wonder what he thought of you.
I don't think he cared much about my existence. I didn't mean anything to him. Anyway, to answer your original question, no. We never spoke. Well, maybe once. Marek and Kaelin had come to Redcliffe to visit the Arl. I was very young then. We were introduced. I believe I said, "Greetings, Your Highness." He said, "Ooh, swords," and ran off to the armory. So, yes, that was the extent of our relationship. We drifted apart after that. Very sad.
Blast and damnation! Indeed.
Legion of the Dead sighted battling Darkspawn near Orzammar. They have no orders while throne stands empty. Make Harrowmont your king now!
News of the hour. Lord Harrowmont entrenched in the past. How long can he ignore that Orzammar must change to survive?
Do you see how things lie, Warden? Lord Harrowmont cannot trust you unproven, but he welcomes a good faith gesture. Balin is hosting a proving tournament to honor his father's memory, but he somehow scared off most of Lord Harrowmont's fighters. If you can enter as Harrowmont's champion, you would prove your dedication well. Excellent. The arena is located off the Commons. Talk to the Proving Master and tell him you're entering Lord Harrowmont's roster. The key fighters we lost were Guidon and Baisel. You can look for them in the fighters' preparation chambers behind the ring. And be sure it's before the fights begin. After the first bout, no one may change the roster. If you need to find me again, I will wait in the Tapster's Tavern off the Commons. There is no better place to hear gossip. Perhaps even word of your victory.
As you say.
This has dragged on too long. It's an insult to King Endrin's memory.
Lord Balin is the voice of change and defense. Lord Harrowmont is...
It's good to see the Grey Wardens know the rightful king in Orzammar.
The prince values your support.
No one enters the prince's estate without an invitation.
Very well.
I hope you're not wasting my time with more dithering. The choice I gave you was clear. If you want Balin to support you in your surface war, you'll have to help him take the throne. Haremont tried using the same plot of land to buy the votes of both Lady Dace and young Lord Helmy. I have the promissory notes to prove it, but neither of them would listen to anyone they knew favored Balin. As a neutral party, you could present the evidence and convince them Lord Haremont plans to cheat them. Lady Dace doesn't leave the quarter much, but Lord Helmy's adventurous, likes to spend his time at tapsters in the Commons. Remember, don't tell them you got these papers from me. You learned of them and drew your own conclusions.
Lord Haremont, said to have kicked Castlet in the street.
What do you want? Ah, I suppose you're the Grey Warden everyone's talking about. I am. And what business would you have with me? Well, this isn't exactly a surface broadsheet. Where did you get these? Never mind. It is true enough, but there's nothing I can do about it. This deal was made on behalf of our entire house. Only my father can revoke it. He is leading a Deep Roads expedition, trying to secure an ancient Tig. It's unlikely he'll be back before the election, but perhaps this vote is important enough for you to brave the tunnels to tell him? The Dace family would be in your debt. He was searching an old Idukan site. He left me with this map, in case his expedition never returned. I'll give you a pass as well. Usually, no one is allowed past the front lines. Does that mean you'll go? So Balin's victory means enough for you to risk your life. How interesting.
Grey Warden arrives in Orzammar, undoubtedly to offer assistance to Lord Haremont.
It'll be 2 years tomorrow. By all the holy sodding ancestors, how can you people just ignore that?
Branka didn't go alone, Ogren. She took the whole house, everybody but you. So just get over to Tapsters and drown yourself already. You know as well as I do that's how this always ends.
You think I'm afraid of some cub warrior who's barely off the teat? Ha!
You lift a weapon or attack a single citizen in Orzammar, and you're stripped of your caste and exiled. Even you can't have forgotten that. Get out of here before I call a guardsman. Can you believe it? Ogren's barely even warrior caste anymore, and he just clomps in here like he's entitled. Ogren's a drunken wretch. He comes up here 2-3 times a week, hounding people to lead some suicidal rescue mission after Branka. Gets quite violent about it. I'd be scared if they hadn't practically gelded him after he killed young Lord Mino. All Mino's son said was how unlikely it was that a bunch of Smiths would return safely from the Deep Roads. Which is true. Ancestors preserve us. That's what the warrior caste is for. But Ogren claimed it was an insult to a paragon. Next thing, they're in a duel to first blood to defend Branka's honor, then Ogren starts screaming and runs him through. It's been 2 years since Branka left. No one has ever stayed in the deep roads that long and survived. The search teams who went out found nothing, but Ogren wants to keep risking lives searching. She's still his wife, isn't she? Even if she took their entire house into the deep roads and abandoned him. Well, before she was a paragon, she was just a smith, and Ogren was one of the best warriors of his generation. Chasing some old treasure, she was quite secretive, outright rude, really. She said she never asked to found a house, that she didn't care about politics, and that we were too self-absorbed to defeat the Darkspawn. She actually threatened anyone who said they'd come after her. She invented a smokeless fuel that let the smith caste increase their output by nearly 1/3. Deaths from the Black Lung also dropped. The Assembly said she had the favor of the ancestors and declared her a paragon. They moved Branka, Ogren, and all their relatives to the noble caste and founded a new house in her name. If you see any guardsmen, tell them Ogren was at it again.
So, I've been hearing rumors that a certain wine merchant is falling behind on his payments.
I can't imagine what you mean. I pay my expenses.
What about the expenses your good friend Jarvia incurs when providing you protection? It's not easy ensuring nothing bad happens, that no one decides to just burn everything in your store.
My store! Please, I don't have much. Business isn't good. People are scared. Tell Jarvia I'll get her money.
Jarvia's not happy with your promises, old man. Now let's go inside and see when you think we'll get back.
Of all the blood and damnation.
This is all I have right now. I could get more if I sell something.
Well, well. Looks like we have a visitor. Friend of yours?
Is there a problem here, friend? Are these men threatening you?
Please, don't get involved with this. You don't know what they're like.
Then allow me to make some introductions. These are dangerous times in Orzammar, stranger. Lucky us, the merciful Jarvia is offering protection from the chaos. You're wearing some fancy stuff there. Might make you a target. So if you want the Carta's guarantee of safety, it's yours for the reasonable price of 10 gold sovereigns. Or I can't say what might happen. Whoa, whoa! All right, you win. I'm not gonna die for 10 lousy sovereigns.
Ancestors, bless you for saving my poor store. I don't know how to express my gratitude. I've never met her, of course. They say she never leaves Dusttown. That's the older area of the city where the casteless congregate. She's the one directing this depravity. Since good King Endrin died, they're getting bolder. They used to be a problem only in Dusttown, but now they're in the commons, shaking honest men down for coin. A band of castless thugs. They're to blame for all the crime in Orzammar these days. They're criminals, and the children of criminals. The ancestors themselves declared them irredeemable. Their births are abominations. They were born from no Kalna, with no acknowledgement by the Shapers. They are destined to be criminals. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm grateful for your help, but I don't think we have any more to talk about.
I wasn't expecting you back. I guess you realize this is about the only fun in Orzammar? Oh, well, I'd ask for proof, or why you care, but frankly, I'm so tired of it I'm not even surprised anymore. I don't even want the land, but my house would kill me if I turned it down. Responsibilities, you know? Now I'll have to go through the whole process of rejecting the deal. And they'll both have to try something else. And I thought it was going to be a nice day. You're just doing what you think is right. I'll have to inform Mother that Lord Harrowmont hasn't bought our vote after all.
What do you want? Hey, I heard about you. Grey Warden, coming from the surface. Great crisis in the world. People are saying how you've thrown yourself on Harrowmont's wagon train. I figured you'd be the one, you know, who could help me find Branka. But I guess you're just like all the rest. Power-hungry Deep Lords. The only real concern they have is whose ass gets the throne. You don't have to play dumb, Warden. Their lackeys only come to me when they want something. Well, if you want the secrets of a paragon, do the work and find her. City's only living paragon, and she's been lost in the Deep Roads for 2 years. 2 years, and no one's raised a bleeding army to go look for her. What's it matter to you, huh? You trying to find out her secrets? That what Harrowmont sent you here for? I know he's been poking around, trying to find things out about her, what she was looking for. Won't tell me spit, though. He wants it for himself, right? A little blessing from the Ancients' technology, and he's assured the throne. Is that it? Too little, too late. But it's a nice gesture, Warden. If you think your boot kissing will get you an in I don't have, you're welcome to try this. I know both Harrowmont and Balin have been asking about her. 2 years without a peep, and suddenly now they want to start looking. If you find out what they know, it might just put me a step closer to finding her. Or sit here and have a drink. It's all the bleeding same to me. Barkeep? Sod off, Duster.
Didn't get enough of the architectural beauty of Dust Town? You need old Nadezhda to play tour guide? I'll just stay out of your way then.
What do you want, Warden? You're out of your element down here. I'm no fool. Nobody just wanders around in Dust Town. You're here looking for me, and I don't like it. You've walked into a starting fight, Warden, and I've already passed your stupid tome along. Too bad for you.
Now we get our hands dirty.
It will be done. Of course.
Maker preserve you.
Maker, turn his gaze on you.
Welcome to what will soon be Orzamar's first chantry. The chant of light will reach all corners of the world. We will never forget who made this possible. I will, see what I can do.
I trust Vala, my nut-wrangling friend.
Just can't get enough of our clammy mine air, can you? Did you need something?
I see you have his daughter's seal, so I will not stop you. But be careful. Just because the beasts have pulled back from Orzammar doesn't mean there are any fewer in the deep roads. Either we finally have the edge, which I doubt, or the beasts are building up numbers for the next attack. What anyone knows? She went out there with her entire house and she's never coming back.
You don't think maybe she's still there, Commander? She is a paragon, after all.
And now she's an ancestor. No one lasts 2 years in the tunnels. Best of luck.
Yes.
Now that we're back at the camp, I want to talk about what happened at Redcliffe. I just wanted to thank you. You went out of your way to save the Arl's family, and you did it. Even though it would have been easier not to. There's been so much death and destruction. It makes me feel good that at least we were able to save something. No matter how small. I owed the Arl that much. You're right. Hopefully, by that time, there's still enough of Ferelden left to save. Good. Now that the warm, fuzzy part of the day is over with, we can get back to the ritual dismemberments. Oh, wait, it's not Tuesday, is it?
Your dog is filthy. I can smell him 50 yards off. That may be so, but all the same, I would like your permission to bathe him. Excellent. I will get my soaps, and the dog shall have his bath after supper.
Yes? Something you need? Yes? What's on your mind?
Here I am. Oh, this should be good. Go ahead. Well, the crows would have you believe that it is an involved process that takes years of training. The sort that tests both your resolve and your endurance. Survive that process and maybe, just maybe, you're good enough to start being considered one of them. But quite frankly, the truth is that all it requires is the desire to kill people for a living. It's surprising how well one can do in such a field. I don't know about that. It's simply a slightly different skill set from your average killer as I see it. An assassin simply specializes in striking from stealth, and in maximizing that first attack to be as lethal as possible. Debilitate your foe, either by poison or by crippling their limbs, makes any follow-up combat you need to engage in that much simpler. I do. It is not something inherent in an assassin's skills, however, merely something complementary. Of course, the crows like to pretend that their abilities are trade secrets, shrouded in shadows and wrapped in a blanket of mystery. So let's just keep this between you and me, shall we? Here I am. Oh, this should be good. Go ahead. Well now, I imagine that's a very fair question. Being an assassin, after all, is a living, at least as far as such things go. I was simply never given the opportunity to choose another way. So, if that choice presents itself, why should I not seize upon it? To be truthful, I didn't even know the crows existed when I joined them. I was but a boy of 7 when I was purchased. For 3 sovereigns, I'm told. Which is a good price, considering I was all ribs and bone and didn't know the pommel of a dagger from the pointy end. The crows buy all their assassins that way. Buy them young, raise them to know nothing else but murder. And if you do poorly in your training, you die. Of course. You compete against your fellow assassins, and those who survive are rightfully proud of it. In Antiva, being a crow gets you respect. It gets you wealth. It gets you women. And men. Or whatever it is you might fancy. But that does not mean doing what is expected of you always. And it means being expendable. It's a cage, if a gilded cage. Pretty, but confining. And become the next mark for some up-and-coming crow? Not likely. The only way to leave is for them to think you're dead. And even then, you'd best be scarce. As for what I'll do in the future, presuming that there is one, I truly can't imagine. It might be interesting to go into business for myself, for a change. Far away from Antiva, of course. For now, naturally, I go where you go. Eventually can be a very, very long time if one plays one's cards right. Come now, enough chit-chat. Talking about the crows summons them, you know. Any Antivan fishwife could tell you so.
You know, maybe this isn't the best time to be thinking about this, but I've something to ask you. Chances are we'll be heading to Denerim soon. And when we're there, I wonder if we might be able to look someone up. I'm not talking about a friend, exactly. And no, it's not that sort of friend either. The thing is, I have a sister, a half-sister. I told you about my mother, right? She was a servant at Redcliffe Castle and she had a daughter. Only I never knew about her. I don't think she knew about me either. They kept my birth a secret after all. But after I became a Grey Warden, I did some checking and, well, I found out she's still alive. In Denerim. She's the only real family I have left. The only family not also mixed up in the whole royal thing. I've just been thinking that maybe it's time I went to see her. With the blight coming and everything, I don't know if I'll ever get another chance to see her. Maybe I can help her. Warn her about the danger, I don't know. Could we? I'd appreciate that. If something happened to her and I never went to at least see her, I don't know if I could forgive myself. Her name is Goldana, and I think she remarried but still lives just outside the alienage. If we're in the area, then, well, it's worth a look. Something on your mind? Of course.
Yes. I am hardly surprised. Very well. Speak, then. Then I suggest we move on. As you wish.
"'Tis cold in my tent, all alone." I was thinking a warm body next to mine might be even better. Good. Then let us waste no more time with foolish talk. I see the stories they tell of Grey Warden endurance are not exaggerated. Indeed there are. The unanswered question, of course, is whether the endurance exists because of the taint within you, or because the Grey Wardens are by nature so very healthy. I enjoy the thought that 'tis a little of both. Natural prowess, driven by a darker side. That is entirely up to you. Simply know that I have no designs on your independence. I wish only to do what I desire, and if that coincides with what you desire, then so be it. And should you decide not to continue our misadventure, then so be it. Very simple, is it not? Then we should get along marvelously. Come then, let us be off before the others begin to stare. I have something for you. I mean that I have a gift for you. 'Tis a ring. Now before you get any foolish notions, let me explain. Flemeth once gave me the ring because it allowed her to find me no matter where I went, in case I was ever captured by hunters. I disabled its power as soon as we left the wilds. Recently, however, I thought to change it. Now, I will be able to find whoever wears it instead. It is not to track you, you understand. I believe you are too important to risk. If you were to get captured, however, it would be far easier to find you with this. You are welcome. Perhaps it will be useful someday. So, full of questions, are you? We're in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any.
The Circle of Magi stands ready to assist, Grey Warden, as do the Templars of the Chantry. There are always areas to improve on, Grey Warden. The most useful for my talents are runes.
Of course.
You are wise to invest in the effectiveness of your followers.
Yes? Something you need?
It's been a long day. Rest would be welcome. Yes, of course. I am just a little weary. As you may have noticed, I'm no spring chicken. Thank you. You're very kind to say so. But in all honesty, I do not know how many years I have left in me. I have lived for such a long time, but there is always something else to do. And I have to keep going in order to do it. I think I will be glad when I am done. I really don't. Have you encountered many abominations, apart from the ones in the Circle Tower? Ah, yes, Connor, of course. The first time I saw an abomination, my blood turned to ice. It was months before the nightmares stopped. It was the knowledge that I could easily become one of them that frightened me the most. One slip. All it takes is one slip, and everything you are is simply gone. Replaced by madness. And there is no turning back, or at least that's what they say. Of late, I have begun to wonder if there is any way an abomination can be cured. Or if a mage could be so possessed and still retain their sanity, their humanity. Yes, it is madness and cruelty that define abominations. If those are lacking, if the mage remembers the person they truly are, then they are not an abomination. I never saw that. Thank you for showing me another way of looking at it. Irving told me about how you became a Grey Warden, and that unpleasant incident that occurred prior to your departure from the Circle. That's not something either of us can alter, so it is best to put it behind you. But that aside, you're a Grey Warden now, and perhaps I presume too much by saying this, but the Circle is proud of you. Do not squander this time trying to explain why Irving picked you. Accept it, and be the Grey Warden you're supposed to be. Sometimes it gives me comfort to think that everything will end up the way it's supposed to. That it will be all right. You were chosen. You survived the joining when others did not. Perhaps it was meant to be. I must ask, what does being a Grey Warden mean to you? There's that, of course. But there's more to being a Grey Warden than killing Darkspawn and saving the world from the Blight. Ultimately, being a Grey Warden is about serving others. About serving all people, whether elves or dwarves or men. As a Grey Warden, you are a guardian of men. And you guard them because their continued existence is more important than you are. Thus it is you who serves, not they. A good king, a true king who cares for his land, uses his power to rule firmly but fairly. He serves his people first and foremost. The king who does not do this, who believes that he is entitled to his power, who abuses it and uses it for his own means, is a tyrant. And the country suffers for it. If you live apart from others, and your actions affect only you, then you may do as you wish. But if you have power, influence, and strength, your every action will be as a drop of water in a clear, still pond. The drop causes ripples, and ripples spread. Think of how far they will go. How wide they will become. How will they affect the pond? But I've lectured enough for today. I should stop before I wear out my welcome. You're quite taken with each other, aren't you? Well, she's hardly discreet. The way she looks at you, it's as though she's completely forgotten there's anything of you above the waist. I've noticed your blossoming relationship, and I wanted to ask you where you thought it was going. She is a cunning woman, a Maleficar. She will use you for her own ends. That is some consolation, at least. Just remember to be wary. You are a Grey Warden. You have responsibilities which supersede your personal desires. Love is ultimately selfish. It demands that one be devoted to a single person who may fully occupy one's mind and heart to the exclusion of all else. A Grey Warden cannot afford to be selfish. You may be forced to make a choice between saving your love and saving everyone else. And then what would you do? Nothing is certain. Not in these times. You cannot take anything for granted. I want you to be aware of this. I am just trying to minimize the suffering that may come to either of you. I have given my advice. Do with it what you will. What's on your mind? It is no trouble.